What does everybody anticipate for the upcoming fight camp in Eddie Hearn's back garden?
Yeah.
Well, it's 4 weeks of boxing. I am as honest as I can be. I'm not super pumped for it. Some of the fights are good, 50-50 fights, but I expected to see some better names in there. Maybe not against high-level opponents, but I still expected to see some of the Josh Warringtons, the Kell Brooks, maybe even a John Ryder, the Boatseys, Lawrence Okolis, those type of names in there as well. And I get it. There is no gate revenue, so it must be difficult to pay them because they're not pay-per-view fighters either, so they're kind of stuck in the middle. But as a fan at home, I still want to see them, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm excited for the pay-per-view card. I'm excited to see Povetkin, Dillian Whyte. That's always going to be a good fight. Two guys that just come to fight, right? I mean, there's going to be no sort of feeling out rounds there. Katie Taylor, Pursoon, good fight. I thought Pursoon won the last time round. And then you got Bakoli versus Kuzman, mm-hmm. which is another good fight, and Clay Congo on there. So it's okay. If I was to score it out of 10, the whole thing, probably a 4-5. I can't go any higher than that. I have to be honest with you. But it's the first time back. Let's see what he does in October or November. This is the first one back, so we know it's not going to be too easy to kind of pay the fighters what they want because there is no gate receipts.
Well, I mean, I give it up to Eddie to do backyard boxing, and I just call it that. But you guys, UK has got to put fights on. If not, then no fighters are going to fight there. So I like that everyone has had to think outside of the box and figure it out. I'm really excited, to see Dillian Whyte just back in action because he's, the drama that he's had, the mandatory, I just feel bad for him, that he's just been in this situation. But it is a good fight. It's a dangerous fight because anything can happen, and it's pandemic. So we don't know how they're going to look. We don't know their power. We don't know their weight. God forbid, someone isn't sick, anything can happen. But Pursoon, very happy that actually happened. I would always bother Eddie. I'm like, you need to put that rematch. You need to put it. And I love Katie. Katie, you're my boxing babe, but I'm happy that she took this rematch immediately or now because she has to prove. No, I don't want to say she has to prove. She heard what everyone thought, mm-hmm. and since she's undisputed, she's Katie. She didn't want that on her record as a stain. So I want to see how Pursoon will do. She had an injury in the Olympics, so I don't know, but we'll see what happens because hopefully she'll win. If Katie were to win, then she moves on, and hopefully I wish Amanda Serrano, I wish that fight was going to happen, but I understand that there's Jessica McCaskill and Cecilia Brækhus, undisputed queen. She's fighting the week before Katie Taylor on Dillian Whyte's card. So, I mean, you guys have good fights. I mean, you may not be excited for him, but I sure am. I mean, I want to see what Eddie's going to do. He says he's going to have a drone. He's going to have this. I'm like, you never know. It could happen. I don't have a 15-acre backyard just laying around to put some fights on.
No. And to be fair, having been there a couple of times, it is an amazing space as well. And you're right. I think Eddie would have looked at what Dana White done with Fight Island. And I know Eddie always talks about Dana White a lot. And I think he wants to put on a show. He didn't want it to be at a studio, a usual thing. He wants to try something different. And we just hope, though, Cynthia, the weather stays good. That's the only problem with doing it in the UK. It could rain just like that any second. So we're hoping that the weather stays good and it doesn't spoil it because I like the concept. And I'm just happy that boxing's back. I think Frank Warren's first card wasn't great at all, right? I mean, bad. So it can't be worse than that. So let's hope. Let's hope it's good.
Ade, how does Katie Taylor approach this rematch?
Mentally, she has to get ready for it, right? I mean, Serrano's a different kind of prospect. Pursoon just wants to have a phone booth fight. Serrano might have been more of a boxing fight, boxing move. And I think Katie Taylor is naturally a bit bigger than Serrano, who's obviously fought at lower weight. Whereas Pursoon is just tough. As they say over here, she's tough as old boots. I actually saw her in the Olympics when she didn't qualify. And I remember that how angry she was. And this is exactly what she needs. She's been begging for this rematch. A lot of people, including myself, thought she won. So Katie Taylor is going to have to know it's going to be a tough night's work. Mm-hmm. Look, Katie Taylor is one of the best female boxers out there. If she boxes and moves, she probably wins this comfortably, you know. If she stands in the phone booth with Pursoon again, then, oh, my God, good luck to her. Because, I mean, she hit Pursoon with everything and that girl didn't move. Mm-hmm. And that must be so daunting when you hit someone and they don't move. Like, you land your best shots and they just stay there. That must be
frustrating too much.
What do I do? So, it must be frightening. Pursoon's a frightening prospect, honestly, frightening. And she fought, I can't remember that, the Iron Lady, a Nigerian fighter that I follow, Helen Joseph, I think it is, who's tough as well. So Pursoon likes tough fights. I feel like if Katie Taylor gets on her bike, which might be boring for us fans, if she gets on her bike and moves, she'll be okay. But if she stands in there again, then boy, oh boy, good luck.
So a la Joshua Ruiz too.
She might have to do a Joshua Ruiz too and start moving around a bit. Yes.
Cynthia,
yes.
How do we feel about the confusing but weight decision but exciting matchup of Gervonta Davis and Leah Santa Cruz?
Yeah. Okay. You know, WBA, you know, bless their souls. I mean, what is going on? How do you have two champions, two different weight classes, putting their belts on the line in a match that's in one fight? And it's a pay-per-view. Like, it almost feels like it's a mockery, like what they're doing to it. I get it. We're in pandemic, but come on. You can't do that. I'm sorry. I just read it. When I watched the presser, I'm like, is this a typo? It's like, did they accidentally shoot the wrong thing? And sure enough, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened in that thing.
One of the belts is a regular. It's not. We've got that whole issue with WBA where the regular is not the super. So I don't think they would do this if it was two super titles. That's my.
Well, I know that, but
you don't think boxing would do this? Really?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, come on.
Anything happens in boxing.
Anything can happen. I mean, nowadays the fighters have so much power and they write whatever they want into the contracts that anything could happen.
We have YouTube fighters. Come on.
This is it. We have YouTube fighters fight above world champions.
Yeah.
So anything is possible. So even if it was the full belt, I believe they would do exactly the same thing. I find it ridiculous. It's silly. I don't know if it's because if Leo wins, maybe he tries to jump up in the lightweight rankings with the WBA or whatever happens. But I just find it ridiculous. But I'm trying to just be positive on that. It's a good fight. Yeah. And I'm very happy that it's at super feather as well, because I thought if it was at 135, I thought Gervonta would just be too big for Leo.
Well, I mean, he's big regardless.
Yeah, like, exactly. But 130, where he has to try and cut some weight, where we know he's had problems cutting that weight, it's an interesting matchup.
It's but I mean.
How does he manage it the weight? How does Tank manage it that way? Because the general idea is that he's creeping up now.
He's fat.
Yeah, he just.
He's not creeping up naturally. He's just fat. It's not like he's creeping up where he's like, I'm growing out of my body. He's not. No. He's not creeping up like that. Let's be real about this. He's not like walking around.
Wagon wheels, and Popeye chicken.
He's overweight. He's overweight. That's the issue. If Tank wants to be serious, stay at a low weight. Every time we see Tank, he looks overweight. It's almost like the Adrian Broner. They just look a bit overweight all the time. He's just fat. You've got to be very honest about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, he still kick my ass, but he's fat. That's what he is.
What he said.
I mean, Ade, speak your mind, bro.
No, you know
how you really feel.
No, because you always hear people say things like, "Oh, he's growing out of the weight," and as a young kid, like Devin Haney, for example, I think will grow out of 135. Teofimo will grow out. Yeah, exactly. Teofimo looks like he's going to go to 140. Even if he wins or loses against Loma, he'll probably go to 140 next, because these guys are naturally growing out Gervonta Davis isn't naturally going out of the weight yet. He's just a guy that's a bit overweight right now. It's just how it is.
Is there a problem with Tank?
When you see him enter sparring or enter his first sparring sessions, he does look a bit of timber around the belly. If he can get rid of that, we've got a good good fighter there. But if he stays in that heavy weight, I'm just scared that it'll affect his career going forward.
I mean, obviously skill sets are completely different, and Tank is a good all-round boxer. But similar to Deontay, because Tank knows he's got that power, do you think there's a bit of laziness around polishing the rest of his game?
There might have been, but I think the Gamboa fight might have triggered something different in him, where he did land heavy on Gamboa, and Gamboa, a vet, stood in there and stayed in there. I think once you do go to that higher echelon of boxers, it's difficult to put those guys away, right? You've got to have supreme power to put the elite guys away. And I think the Gamboa fight could have been a wake-up call to know that it's not just about my big punches. Look, Tank's a great boxer, by the way. As much as I've said anything about his weight, he's a great boxer, a very good boxer. So I do feel like even though he is trigger happy with those power punches, this guy can outbox you as well. I mean, a good amateur record, unbeaten so far in the pros. I think even now, all these young kids at 135, for some reason, if they were all to put themselves in a tournament, I still would. I know Teofimo's there, but I still have Tank for some reason. That's how highly I rate him. I just feel like I just want to see Tank get more serious outside the ring. So when he does come into the ring, we know it's the best Tank and not a guy that's been on a crash course diet.
Yeah, no, it's very true. With the fight with Gamboa, we were all surprised he could not get him out. The only thing that was affecting Gamboa were his shoes. They were falling apart. So he was sliding. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. It was like shoegate. But you could see that Tank was probably frustrated. It's just got Katie Taylor. It's like, I'm giving him that. He's hitting him with everything. And he's a veteran. He stood there and took all of his punches. So you have to figure out a different game plan, figure out different tools in your arsenal. But Tank is a great fighter. I'd like to see him fight more. Him fighting Leo Santa Cruz. Leo's not going to go down easily. Look at how many fights he's been in. He's been in Ultimate Wars. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's a very, very good test for both of them to see where they can go and if Gervonta can really be what
prediction.
Oh, probably Gervonta.
Yeah,
Are they?
Gervonta. Yeah, Gervonta. I feel like Leo's very good. I feel like the weight coming up, he's very, very skinny though, isn't he? Very lean and
yeah, he's very lean.
I feel like he's been in a couple of wars as well, right? He's been in some tough fights, and I think, look, Gervonta. The fact that we're both saying Gervonta shows how good we think Gervonta is, because that's not an easy fight. It's just that's how good I think Gervonta is. I think Gervonta is legit. And hopefully once he does this, then we might probably ain't gonna see it, but we might see a mix against the other guys. I'd love to see him versus Teofimo at 135.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Ooh, power versus power.
This is what I'm saying. Power. And both guys, won't back down. Ooh. And Teofimo's dad will get involved. It'll just be fantastic.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah.
Floyd would come in.
Yeah.
Oh, let's make this fight happen, Floyd.
Yeah.
Just a quick side note on Teofimo. Did you see him on Instagram mocking Loma outside Madison Square Gardens?
Did you see what Loma posted?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can you read it? Are you able to get that up, Cynthia, and read it word for word so Ade knows? I was like,
what Loma said,
yeah, his tweet, yeah.
Oh, I put on my
tweet on Instagram.
It was Instagram. So Loma said, Teofimo, hey boy, go back to the boxing gym and be ready. I don't care where it happens, even in your yard. So I don't know what Teofimo said. I didn't see that part.
He had he had a face mask on outside Madison Square, just trying to like bait him and mock him and say like, well, I'm ready. The fans are ready, which didn't make sense to me because the fans are not allowed to go into Madison Square yet. But obviously they've got the date now and they're hoping they're going to have fans. But he was like, make sure you're ready and bring my belts with you. So it was just, he just continued.
Sorry, Teofimo said that to Loma.
Yeah.
You know, I love Teofimo. I do.
I love
But
him.
Loma's the grand master. Loma's the grand master. I mean, if this is the chess game.
He is.
Like,
I don't care.
He's a wizard. He's a boxing wizard.
Honestly, I think it's a decent fight in the sense that Teofimo's unbeaten. We saw what he done against Richard Comey, but Richard Comey ain't no Vasyl Lomachenko. He really isn't. Vasyl Lomachenko is just
special.
It's a special. It's special. I'm lucky that I'm alive to see someone do these things in the ring that he does, because to me it's not possible.
Can I say something though? I was at the Luke Campbell fight, right? And obviously we all know at 135, Loma's always giving up size and weight, right? We know that. He's not a natural 135er, right? He's literally punching above his weight for greatness. But Luke Campbell frustrated him that night with the length.
Everyone's going to. You know what? I can go through every single person's resume right now, and no one's not had a frustrated night against someone.
No, for sure. For sure.
How it is.
For sure.
And I think we forget as well, Luke Campbell is an Olympic gold medalist.
Absolutely.
Luke Campbell's got an outstanding amateur background, and that almost became a chess match between two great amateurs.
It was.
Loma probably won most of the rounds. Some of them were close, but when what Loma does, when it's time to go up gears, it's almost like, okay, let me open my toolbox and bring out this for you and that for you and that for you. And no one goes into their toolbox and has the same tools. They've got manual tools. This guy's got a fucking hammer drill. He's just got too much for these people. And he goes up, even the Linares fight, which was a tough fight. It was like, okay, you put me down. Let's see what you've got. And then he started doing all this madness and went crazy. He pressed
the nods. He hit the nods button. He hit nods.
I was there at that fight, and I'm like, whoa. I mean, I've seen Loma fight live and a couple times, but when the Linares fight, I was like, whoa. Like, it was just, he was literally the Matrix in there. I asked yesterday when I interviewed Joe Gallagher, I asked him, Anthony Crowlett, I go, did he say anything to you after the fight? He said he was just flustered. Like, Loma was just everywhere. Like, he thought he was here, then he was there, he was there. He was like, he couldn't even focus of where he was in the ring because he was that fast. He's like, he's so special. I'm like, he really is. He's just, I just call him the boxing wizard.
I might start calling him that as well now, the boxing wizard. And that was the Linares as well. That's the difference. He didn't fight the washed Linares, right? And no disrespect to Linares, but obviously he's not what he was a few years ago. That was as sharp Linares as I've seen for a long time. He brought everything, power, speed. Linares was so spiteful that night, and Loma just went another gear. And I was like, you know what? Nah, there's still a lot left in Loma. There really is.
Guys, even though Teofimo Lopez doesn't have the experience that Linares does at this point in his career, what happens if Teo catches Loma coming in like that? Because he hits harder than Linares. I'm sorry, he does.
Why do you think he hits harder than Linares out of interest?
Just because I'm very
Is it because he's been knocking guys over that he's supposed to knock over?
No, not that, not even. I just see something, like how you have a reservation of what you expect Tank could do. I have the same thing with Lopez. I just see his training. I can only go off of what I've seen, and I just think he's explosive. I think he hits harder than Linares. That's all I'm saying.
I remember when Loma went in against Nicholas Waters, the axe murderer, who had a ridiculous, I think, a 90% KO record as well. And everyone was like, oh my God, if this guy catches Loma, didn't even get close to catching him. I think Loma will step up based on the fear in front of him. Yeah. So we know that Teofimo's got that big right or whatever. So someone can, okay, we're not going to get caught by that. And even if he does, we've seen Loma get caught and get up, right? We saw that. Yeah. That was a flashed out knockdown against Linares, but he got caught in that fight. He did. Got up, dusted himself off. Was like, okay, hit me again with that same shot. Wasn't able to. I don't know. I don't think it is a case of if Loma lands one. Sorry, if Teofimo lands one. I really don't. I think we're almost disrespecting Loma's chin here. And I think we're underestimating Loma's power as well. It's not one punch knockout power, but it's like an accumulation of punches that really cause damage. Mm-hmm. And I think he could be the one eventually that stops Teofimo rather than the opposite way around.
Cynthia, you know...
I'm saying it, Cynthia. Wow, I just called it Cynthia.
Wow. Cynthia, I'll send it to you guys after we wrap this up. There's this amazing kind of like, you know, you get those kind of geeks that do those science analytics on boxing, right? There's this amazing YouTube video out there where this guy says that Lomachenko is very unique because he's actually an orthodox fighter fighting out of southpaw so that he can have a strong lead jab. And not a lot of people know that Loma's actually born an orthodox fighter. So
no, that's true.
Yeah,
I think I remember hearing that, and
yeah,
I think
he fights in southpaw, but just so he can, have. So Ade, what you just said is basically
he's just special. He's just
different.
as strong. He's just that good.
but I'm saying it's weird where guys like Tank, Teofimo, they think they know they've got that right hand or the left hand, but Loma, because of his skill set and the way his dad's crafted him, they've worked on something unique where they've given up that one-punch knockout power for a cumulative, destructive, continual, sustained damage. It's a unique model. It's like why would, obviously we're witnessing something, we say the Matrix, but the documentary breaks it down in a way where he basically says, because he's using his stronger hand as his jab, which is unnatural in boxing, right?
No, Miguel Cotto did the same thing.
Yeah.
Miguel Cotto was a left-handed, but fought orthodox.
Yeah.
So his jab was ridiculous, and it was because it was his power punch, really.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In boxing, you've got to try and mix it up, right? I mean, obviously, this guy was a dancer, took him out of boxing, and was a dancer for a while. So that's why his foot movement is so different to boxers.
I always say boxers go
dance.
Go
right now, if I've got an 11-year-old coming up, we're stopping boxing. 2 years, we're going to ballet. I want you to be light on your toes, and I want you to be, honestly, be a mover. It's real. I'm serious.
It's crazy when I say that. They're like, yeah. I'm like, no, you're light on your toes. Football players take ballet and Pilates for to elongate and to be light on their toes.
Jean-Claude
Boxers, are you not listening to this? Get it on YouTube. Start taking some dance classes. You're gonna thank me later.
I was watching a film called The Grand Master last night, and it was talking about martial arts, and it sort of originating from dance. People used to be dancing 400, 500 years ago, and that's how martial arts is. And it's just, I thought Loma's like that. He's just taken so many different elements.
Yep.
And that's why we're seeing something special.
It's like water. It's just, he's so, it's so elegant and so beautiful, and you just watch his footwork. And for me, like when I watch Loma, because I used to be a dancer when I was kids, I'm like, that's a kickball change, and people are like, what is that? I'm like, that's the dance move. And I mean, that's how he's able to get in and out of the pocket, different angles, and literally dance around you.
Those little micro hops he does.
Yes.
They I mean, I'm half Irish. They almost look like a little jig move when he just jigs to the left and the right. It's crazy. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we all love Loma. I'm just trying to spice the pot talking about Teofimo because I love Teofimo.
And what he is as well, and what I've always said he is as well, he's a pressure fighter, but he's not reckless, which is so rare. So many pressure fighters throw 100 punches, but they get caught a few times coming in just because they got to land theirs and they got to receive one as well. He's a pressure fighter that's coming to you, but he's moving. He's all over. It must be a nightmare to fight, honestly. And he's arrogant because he knows he's that good, right? So it's almost like he's got this little swag about him. And that's the thing. He's just, honestly, he should be a pay-per-view superstar. But he's not. But he should be a pay-per-view monster. And it's just a shame. I wish he could be put in like an ice machine so he doesn't age. Because I feel like he's probably only got like 2 years left. And I just hope that... Look, I call me crazy, but I honestly think he could beat Josh Taylor at 140. I know it's mad, but I honestly think he could...
I got both of us like, ooh!
I honestly feel like he could beat...
The height's just so...
Josh Taylor's the same height as Luke Campbell.
Yeah, I know.
But and exactly the same range.
But Josh is a stronger Luke Campbell though, right?
I agreed, but I think, you know what it is? A lot of these guys, like I would like to see what Luke walks around at to get down to 135 as opposed to what Josh... I think these guys could walk around the same, Josh Taylor and Luke, that is.
Yeah.
So although one's 140, one's way. So I don't think they're that much bigger in terms of size. Obviously, I'm going crazy here, but I just want Loma to be recognized as one of the all-time. And sometimes you got to go 4 weights, right? Nowadays you got to chase the weights.
He will be recognized as one of the one
Has
of the
to be,
best
surely, right? Yeah.
for what he's done, winning a world in so little
Yeah.
fights. Yes, he has one loss on his record to Orlando Salido, but there's also things that happen, like he came in heavy and whatever the things. But what he did after that fight is just, you know, it's crazy. And the way you see him, the way he wins his fights makes him quit. No mas, you know, no mas.
Crazy. And
right?
you chuck in that amateur background as well, which is just ridiculous. Those two combined, you're right. You're talking about an all-time great here.
Yeah.
No Maschenko.
No Maschenko. Yeah.
Count. Cynthia, a fight you've been championing since it got announced, and now it's become the main fight on the card, the Oklahoma fight.
Yep.
Let's talk about the ladies.
Cecilia Brækhus versus Jessica McCaskill. I went to go do an interview with Cecilia the other day, an exclusive. Hasn't dropped yet, but it's going to be on Ring.
Ding, ding.
And she looks good. So, you know, she's a small welterweight, but this fight's going to be at 145. I looked at her back. I mean, she's like, "Are you hitting on me?" I said, "Dude, your back is so sexy. It's just, she's leaned out. It's just ripped." I'm just like drooling with my phone, like my camera. I'm like, oh my God. And I just, you know, I appreciate a woman's body, especially, God damn.
Me too.
Hitting so hard.
That makes three of us.
But no, she looks great. She's really excited. And at the time, we didn't know she was going to be the main event. But she's ready for Jessica. You know, Jessica's she only has 10 fights under her belt. But Jessica is going to come in. She's young. She's hungry. It's for all the belts. Cecilia has been the undisputed queen for a long time, and she's already made history by tying Joe Louis's defense record. So if she is able to be victorious, she's going to 26 wins. This is what Joe Louis 1940s. That's when he was able to have that record. 72 years. She will break. She will shatter that record. So that's massive in itself, to be the first female bout on a DAZN Matchroom coming out of pandemic for all the belts. It's good, and she's ready. She's like Jessica said, you know, I see her flaws, blah blah blah, but she said, "Jess, I'm ready. I'm ready for anything. She better be ready for me, because she's different." Abe, she's learned some stuff with Abel. You know, she had the first camp with him in Monaco. She's still learning, but now since pandemic, she's been training for 6 months because it got postponed from April. Yeah. So I asked her, I'm like, you essentially had 2 camps. How is that? Because she didn't fly back home because she might not have been able to come. But she said this is probably the best camp she's ever had in her life, because she's able to zone out up in Big Bear. It's all natural. It's all nature for her. And she really got to hone in on her skills and everything that Abel has taught her, on top of everything with Jonathan Banks, Lucia Riker. And I remember her first trainer, why she does that, the typical UK stance. So it's interesting. She's going to be throwing more. She's going to be more aggressive. She's going to stand in the pocket more, as opposed to just dance around and work the ring. But I can't wait. She looks good, though. She looks good. Yeah, that's my two.
Ade, your 2 pence?
I like it. I like it. I think it's going to be a tough night for McCaskill, just because Cecilia is just that good, right? I mean, again, like Cynthia said, it's for all the marbles, and she's collected all these marbles over the years. I was just thinking about, as you were talking, I was just thinking about female boxing and where in my head I think it is right now, because I always try to kind of gauge how good it is by, are we headlining? Who are the relevant names right now? And it's good that I think females are headlining. In the UK, for example, Katie Taylor-Pursoon, it was almost like, this shouldn't be pay-per-view unless Katie Taylor's fighting Pursoon. And that's fantastic, right? So we're talking about a fight not being a pay-per-view event unless we see Katie Taylor versus Pursoon on it. So that's the growth of female boxing. What I don't want, and I can see it happening, obviously Katie Taylor versus, I feel like they're going to try and force them to kind of meet somewhere, or Clarissa versus Cecilia and try and meet them somewhere. So because of that, you're almost having to force these girls out of their natural weights to kind of make these mega fights when they shouldn't really be having it. Like Clarissa shouldn't be fighting Cecilia. They're just one's too big. And no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see Clarissa down to 154 or 152, like she says. And I don't want to see Cecilia try and go up as well. But I think female boxing's in a good place right now. I think it's fantastic. This one headlines, right? Obviously, it's a shame that we don't get to see Martinez, who I love to see.
I know.
I think it's so exciting. That guy's crazy. It's crazy.
He's
His backstory
so
is crazy.
good. He's like violent,
training in jail and shit. But I think it's in a good place right now, female boxing. We've got 4 or 5 big names that we always hear now all the time. We always hear about the Serrano sisters, Katie Taylor, Clarissa, Cecilia. I just want a few more to get in the mix.
That's the only problem, isn't it?
Terry Harper is in there.
Yeah.
You're frozen. Hello.
Oh.
Terry Harper, Michaela Mayer. Terry Harper, man.
Terry Harper against Natasha Jonas over here is going to be a good one.
And then she Natasha yesterday, so that's going to be a good fight.
That's going to be a very interesting fight.
I'm going to interview Terry on Friday, so I want to hear her.
As a female reporter, Cynthia, do you feel like more obliged to go out and seek to interview these female boxers to kind of push the agenda a bit more?
Yes and no. It's because how I even got more exposed to female boxing, because I was invited to the WBC Women's Convention in the Philippines, and I'm also a WBC influencer. So it's my job to go interview whoever they are, but seeing the women and their stories, I always said this, and the women that I've interviewed, I go, you guys bang and box and train, eat, sleep, just like any other male boxer would. The only difference is we have babies. Same. And Natasha has a child. That's why she left. And then she came back. There's Lulu Bang Houghton from Australia. Little one. She has 2 kids. I don't even know how she had 2 kids. She's a strawweight. So it's crazy to me. But I'm here to tell their story. It's like, there's little girls out there looking up to you saying, oh no, women shouldn't box, but actually you should. You are a hero. Cecilia's story is incredible. She helped lift the ban in boxing in Norway. She almost went to jail a couple times. So, things like that. Women's boxing, like you have Lucia Riker. Oh my God, just Layla Ali, like when she was going to come back. So they paved the way for women to be able to do what you guys do. I'm listening to them because they're just like, why do they get paid more than us? We do the same exact thing. Some women may not be, they might not put on a show, but some men don't put on a show either.
There have been millions of stinkers.
Yeah, and it's just like, and they expect women's boxing to suck. I go, no, these girls are throwing. Look at Katie Taylor. I mean, it's just because women aren't having knockouts all the time. Guys don't have knockouts all the time. They dance around the ring. They're gonna get on their bike and just do what they need to do in order to win. But I'm happy. I'm excited. I love it. So it's, and some of these women are they're incredible, incredible people that just want to be seen. They just want to, they want to have the same respect, the same level of respect men do in this sport.
Do you think it's just because as well that there aren't as many super matchups that can be made?
You know why? You're just talking about it. It's the weight classes. Women, they can move up and down in weight, but also there's not that many women in every weight class. So women are going up 2 weight divisions. So Cecilia and Clarissa, Cecilia can only go up so much. She's a small welterweight.
Yes.
But Clarissa would have to come down. Cecilia would, obviously, that super fight is with Katie Taylor. They would go down, what was it?
140.
140.
Yeah. And
so, I mean, it's going to happen unless
the depth
there's more.
The depth isn't there yet across the divisions. That's it's a time thing. Once it gets more limelight, more exposure, more women start watching women's boxing, right? Mm-hmm. Once that, because the majority of viewers for boxing is still male dominated in it. Once more women start watching women's boxing and invest in the interest, then we will see a plethora, hopefully, of incoming fighters.
I don't know if that's the reason. When I look at the demographics for how many females watch MMA, it's very low. but there's still females headlining mixed martial arts. Ronda Rousey became the biggest star in MMA, right? And she wasn't being supported by women per se. I just feel like I covered female boxing in Africa for a while, and I spoke to a lot of the women over there, and it was almost like they got to a point where they wanted to have kids as well. And that's obviously, men are lucky, right? That's not a conversation we have. We can do what we want until whenever. But it got to a point, okay, they came out of the Olympics, and they all go to the Olympics, and that's a case of we got to have kids because there's no money, and they got to find jobs. So it's a difficult thing for women to kind of make that jump to want to continue boxing. It's not easy. Like, again, we as men don't think of these things, right? We don't think, have kids. You know,
women are taking care of the kids and the family. Yeah,
I think it's probably easier for the cream of the crop that have had purses that are adequate enough to sustain their lifestyle. They could step out, have a child, take a year out, and think about coming back. Whereas the majority of female fighters don't have that financial cushion. Kind of like if we just think outside the box for a minute, another solo sport, Serena Williams, #1 tennis player in the world, but also a multi-millionaire. So, and she had a kid, came back, and she still got back to the top spot, but she had that financial and professional kind of lifestyle where she was able to do that. So who knows, maybe
imagine though having a kid, right? Especially for example, let's take Cecilia, for example, a girl that fights 147 pounds, 145 pounds. Imagine having a kid and then having to come back down to 145 pounds. Like, imagine like how difficult that would be. Like, okay, you've dominated, but then you've got to have a kid and still try and come back to your fighting weight again.
No, it takes a long time, man.
Yes and no. I mean, I asked Natasha this since she had a baby, and then she decided to come back, and she said it was tough. Like, it was really hard, but she goes, I was so motivated because I was around, the guys at Gallagher's gym, and it's like they pushed me, and it's like I knew the love of boxing was always there. It never left me. I just happened to have a baby, and it's like she has a schedule. She sleeps, she eats. She's like, but I don't. I need to get on a schedule to start losing weight. But it's and see, that's why guys don't understand. They're just like, women boxing, and I'm like, you guys came from us. We birthed you guys. Like, we birthed.
Excuse me. I had my second child in lockdown with my partner. I have half an idea. I have half. I've got a 3.5-month-old, which is why I'm in the park doing the.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Congrats.
Don't sweep me up in that sweeping statement.
Women are very strong, mentally, emotionally, physically.
No, for sure.
Very,
but
very.
Excuse me. Like this is some serious sleep. But no, I totally get it. I mean, women are heroes, man. Women are amazing. I mean, in any sports. But I mean, I use the Serena Williams example to say that it is possible. And you've mentioned a few boxers. It is possible to have the life. I think not just the physical challenges, which are obvious after having a child. I think that emotional detachment to be able to do a solid training camp is probably even harder for the mom. That's a very hard battle, because I see when my partner is away from our child for maybe a day or two, if I've, gone away with my family, she freaks out. So, I couldn't even imagine a fighter going to Big Bear and not maybe seeing their kid every other day or something like that. Must be like, what do they do? Do they have family stay in camp with them looking after the baby? What happens?
No, they don't bring the child. They leave them at home. Like,
they don't see them at all.
Hey, you're going to war. Get war ready.
You can't have
you can't even think about.
Has to be right. That's why guys leave. They leave their family. They have to be focused. And like, I know Lulu, her kids live in Australia. She'll train here. She'll be here for 3 months. Yeah. Wow. She was here for pandemic. So she didn't see her kids for like weeks.
Yeah, you got to switch off mother mode. You're going in there to fight.
Switch off mother mode.
Switch that shit off.
That's very. You're that just shows the dedication, because you're asking a mother to do something completely unnatural, which is to switch off their motherly instinct. That's so much.
Hey, you're asking them to go and fight in the ring and get hit in the face. That's more unnatural as well. Like,
but it's the same thing. It's like she's providing for her family just like a man would. So, but yeah, I'm happy that I'm really happy that Cecilia and McCaskill were moved up to main event. I mean, Cecilia was the the final HBO, she was the main event. Clarissa was on the undercard, or yeah, she was, I think, the card out, or the co-main event, I believe. But for the last fight on HBO, which I got to I didn't take. Michael Buffer moved to DAZN, and I had to take his job, so it was like I didn't, but it was nice to see that. It was nice to see and be a commentator to do the final HBO show. It was like, a lot of people were not very happy. 45 years of boxing, and it was a female card. Who cares? It was a fight, and it's legendary. You can't. How many times are you going to say an undisputed queen closed out HBO?
Cynthia, very quickly on that show being in Oklahoma, hasn't there been a massive spike in COVID cases in Oklahoma?
Oh, I don't know. The whole reason why it was there, when I questioned it, it had the lowest cases. Okay. Problem is that I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, is that they are reporting the cases because there's more testing, but they're not reporting the deaths. And I believe, and I am not a conspiracy theorist. I believe this is very, very real. The numbers are not really as high in comparison to the illnesses, but a lot of people don't even know they're sick. We don't know if we could potentially die from this thing. We don't know. But the last I heard, it was that they chose Oklahoma because it had, remember we said it was 400,000 that lived there in that when we checked
this Saturday. We checked in the thing is as well, I think as a Tulsa and also as an area, a metropolitan area, I think it's quite a sparsely populated place.
Yeah.
So it would, to answer your question kind of more generally, it would be like worrying about a state's statistics, but maybe that part of the state is quite remote. So okay. I think,
and let's not forget it's on the street as well, though.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it did spike.
Yeah, massively. Yeah. Yeah, I remember saying it. I remember reading about it spiking quite.
My look!
But
that's the spike, and that's a crazy spike.
Cynthia, is that the state or is that Tulsa?
This is. I put Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Tulsa has 6,744 confirmed and 89 deaths. So, I mean.
That's not. I mean, yeah.
It's bad, but it's not
bad. Yeah. It's bad.
It could be worse. You don't want it to be worse.
Yeah.
But it's just, they're going to have that issue. It's, it's just like Top Rank and UFC. They have to go into a bubble. They're going to have to be as safe as possible. And hopefully no one tests positive, asymptomatic, and just wear a full on condom. If you have to be a bubble boy or be a bubble girl, that's all you can do.
Guys, before we wrap it up, can we just, I saw a little tweet as well about an interesting card. The Charlo Brothers, they're doing like a joint, it's a split card, but it's the same pay-per-view bill.
Yeah.
Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw part of it.
So Derevyanchenko and Jason Rosario, yeah?
Yeah.
Are they happening in different locations, Cynthia, but they're being put on the same bill?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Don't quote me on that, but it was. I was reading someone's tweet. I was trying to make sense of it, but I know.
You know what? That would be. I'd be happy if that's the case. I mean, because we don't want separate pay-per-view, especially in America, right? We have to pay. If that's
Unless
the case,
maybe one is earlier and then the other one, because I know they'll never fight on the same card again.
That's it.
They're never gonna fight on the same card because it was too emotional when one lost. So they're gonna, one's probably in East Coast and the other one's on the West Coast. So that's the time.
That's what it is. It's different. It's different times. That's what it is. So it's an all day.
Both of them got tough fights as well. Yeah. I'd love to know what the odds are on both of them losing.
Oh well, Derevyanchenko is good.
Good.
Very good.
Good.
I think he beat Triple G personally.
Oh yeah, I brought that up before, but
close fight.
It was a tough fight. It was a very close and tough fight. If you scored it round by round as opposed to the fight overall, it could have been there was a knockdown. So that was like, I can't think 7-5. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that knockdown really changed.
Could have been what swung it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Hey, look, GGG deserved one after his Canelo robberies. He deserved one. Give him one. Can we not give him one, please?
I know.
You know?
Gee. But those are good fights. I mean, Charlo's, I would have loved Charlo. Maybe, well, everyone wanted the Canelo, Charlo, anything, because he has a belt. So, but I don't know. I mean, at least Showtime's putting on some really good, they're putting on some really good cards.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm like, what was that? I was like, sorry. It's like, I was like, hearing it's 2 a.m. I'm like, what's that?
Wow.
I'm going to fall out of my chair. But I don't know. They're good fights. I think a lot of them are, they're fights that a lot of them have stayed in shape. They knew these fights were coming, and a lot of people kept saying, "Oh, Showtime has kind of fallen out of the game." No, they did not.
Yeah, they almost shut everyone up when they released this yesterday. I was like, they just went boom, 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 take it all.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Boom in your face. What now?
Bang. And they chuck some big, I mean, there's guys like Erickson Lubin on the card as well. Like, doesn't get a mention. Daenerys on that card.
God, it's such a good.
So they've stacked it. They've stacked it.
That fight, the Donaire fight, I can't wait. If he performs the way he performed against Inoue, which was incredible. I mean, I woke up it's still on my phone. I will never delete it. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it. Wake up. It says, "Wake up, it's fight night, bitches." All the different times.
Yeah.
Wake up, get up. It's Nonito, and to watch it and to see him rough up Inoue. That his eye, and I mean, Nonito's, he's a veteran. He's been in the game a long time, and he was ready to say, okay, you think I'm done now? Now he's got this chance. And I'm like, oh my God.
I just hope that wasn't it. That's the only thing for me was that it? Was that the last big special Nonito Donaire night?
No,
New Way World Boxing Super Series. Can he do it again?
No, I don't think so. I mean, and it's weird because the way he came up is that something happened. One fighter, he's injured. The other one, another one. So I'm like, man, okay. And I even said 2 rounds at best, he's out. Donaire's out. And for him to go to war with him like that, it gave him that extra,
Yeah, to know that I'm still here. I'm Donaire. I'm still here. Don't sleep on me. Don't forget what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
he's a legend. He's a legend. He's a legend. He's a legend, but you guys have been keeping it real. Inoue was fighting with one eye in that fight, just to keep it real.
Yeah, but one eye because of who?
No, that's fine.
Right?
He hit him in the eye.
No, Adi, I get that. But how many boxers do we see end the fight because of an eye injury?
Nah, I'm not having that.
Oh, well,
I mean, if he went into the ring with an injury, fair dues. But if the injury was caused by the opponent, then
no. Listen, I get that. But all I'm saying is, Inoue, it was fight of the year for me. But Inoue, with his lesser experience, with Donaire's catalog of experience, he could have easily floundered in that fight. I was more impressed with Inoue personally. It took 2 of them to make the fight a classic, but even though the old dog, and he was a bigger guy as well, let's keep it real. The bigger, older guy, let's keep it real. He had more experience. So obviously Inoue had the momentum, the explosive, the monster reputation. But for me, it was a war. It was a beautiful fight. I give Inoue.
And sometimes for all these beautiful fights, it takes the underdog to make it a beautiful fight.
Absolutely.
You look at all the fights of the year for that year. Remember Sean Porter versus Errol Spence. The underdog stood up. Derevanchenko versus Golovkin. So I would always favor. Donaire was away from home, massive underdog, and he took it to the younger, brutal. So I remember everyone was talking about this guy being the most brutal KO artist of all time, and he stood in the pocket and said, "Okay, let's trade. Let's show what you got." And I love it. I love it. So I'm going to give it
that.
Back and forth. It was a beautiful fight.
I mean, a lot of people said Inoue got exposed. I'm like, I don't think Inoue got exposed. He just got hurt. He just got really hurt.
That's my point. That's my point. No, that's my point. Like, out of all the different kind of injuries, like we've seen Amir Khan quit because of a low blow, right? My point, we've seen from Kell Brook, when these get injured, this is something subconsciously humans, even though boxers are ready to die, right? But this isn't the 1940s, 50s, and 60s where that happened often, but your eyes, you only get one set of eyes, man. You can replace your lungs. You can even get prosthetic limbs. You can't replace these yet. That's my point. For me, as a man, the only two things I ever worry about are my jewels and my eyes. Like, I worry about my hair, but I just think an eye injury in any walk of life.
Oh, is it gone?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's still there.
Oh, I just think my point was to focus on the eye, not as an excuse like a Deontay Wilder-esque excuse. My point is an eye injury so early in the fight. Was it like round 3 or 4? All I'm saying is we've seen other fighters quit because of a serious eye. And he had the broken orbital, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was doing something really weird. Did you see in the fight? He was going like this. He was blocking his vision. He was pouring with his left hand, or his to block Ade. He was doing that to block the blur vision of the other eye. It was crazy. If you watch the fight, I've watched it 3 times back because it's such a good fight. You see him doing this weird thing like that, and you realize afterwards he's like in Rocky, hit the one in the middle. He's doing that. It's crazy. But hats off to Daenerys. Hats off to
Thank
Daenerys.
you. Yeah,
I can't wait to see him back in the ring. It's good.
Hats off to Daenerys.
Good.
Guys,
it's a really good line.
my laptop percentage is hinting at me that it's time to wrap it up. And I think, Cynthia, we don't want you to get spooked again. It's bedtime over there, right?
No, it's all right. I'm so happy that I was able to stay up and and talk boxing with you guys. I mean, I don't care what time it is. It's
that's nice.
I'm
That's
excited.
Nice.
I was. Thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
If only some of the fighters would have the same dedication, Ade, right?
They need their beauty sleep.
I don't know these fighters nowadays. I don't know, man. I feel like
from a different cloth now.
Yeah, like I'm just this old guy. I don't know. Guys in the 60s used to say these things about the guys in the 40s. I don't maybe it's just that, right? Maybe it's just a generational thing.
No.
When we look back, where we always think our music now.
It's social media, bro. It's social media. They've got pampered, man. It's social media. They've got the world at their fingertips.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. Other fighters might say, "Oh, it's TV." Imagine it's TV like 60 years ago. Oh, it's TV. Or then before that, oh, it's newspapers.
It's the radio. It's a phonograph. It's like telegram.
These things change the world for the worse forever, man. Like, it's a quantum leap. Like, I get it. Like, but they've got too many options, man. We spoke about it earlier. The fighter is now fighter and promoter all in one package because of Twitter.
The business.
It's
the business. So.
I think they're understanding the business side of it a lot quicker than what they're used to.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the Floyd thing. Maybe, I don't know, the Oscar thing. But a lot of these fighters now very quickly understand. A lot of them have their own promotional companies at 2021. Like Devin Haney had a promotional company at 21, which is like, fight first. I get it. Fight first, then promotion. But I mean, it's a short career, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of these top fighters been out of the ring for years with lawsuits against their promoters, and fighters are wising up to it now. They're not as silly and as open-minded as they were 30 years ago. Now they know what they want. They'll get what they want because they know it's a short career. And look, can we blame them? I mean, they're risking their lives when they go in the ring.
And that I get. I understand that. But, then sometimes don't pick a career that, I'm just saying.
No, you're right. You're right.
I mean, I love
Don't sign up for this career knowing that all these things. Yeah.
I know. It's like, don't be a pilot if you're scared to fly,
Yeah. 100%.
If you want to, you got to get wet if you want to swim. Okay, Cynthia from Pep Talk UK, I want to say thank you so much to yourself and Cynthia Conte at Ring Magazine over in Los Angeles. And we had the pleasure of being entertained and enthralled by Ade from Boxing Talk with Ade. Cynthia, I call Ade the YouTube champion because he always says something a bit spicy. So,
does he? I like that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I'm not quite sure what I said this time. What did I say about Javante Davis?
Fat.
Right?
You said Tank's fat.
I have that on video. I'm going to post that on my Instagram.
Don't. He will start sending me lawsuits.
So don't. Okay, I won't.
Keep joking.
I won't tag him.
Let's do this again next month.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do a wrap up and then we're going to find out the next set of fights. Golden Boy has their fight tomorrow night. Virgil Ortiz. No, it's
Yes.
yeah, Virgil Ortiz.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what he can do. He's talking a big game, right? Wants the Spence fight. Let's see.
Yeah, and then Tanahara versus Hesta. Senicia Estrada is going to be on that card. Then on Saturday, Thompson Boxing. There's a pay-per-view in America. I think you guys can get everywhere. It's $6.95.
Wow.
$6. So check it out. Thompson Boxing. That's where Danny Roman came out of. So at least the local promoters are putting on some shows.
I like that, and I think we need to support those smaller ones as well.
Pay-per-view for $6.95. You cannot go wrong.
Can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. That's McDonald's.
Yeah.
In the UK, particularly London, we say bargain.
Bargain.
Yeah, bargain. That's a bargain basement, as they say. Yes.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Cynthia. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Make sure you guys listen to my new podcast episode. Very good.
Where is it? Is the link on your page?
Yeah, it's on my Instagram.
Okay.
I do audio series and regular podcasts, and my first one was of Bob Arum, 88th and Hustle is an audio series.
Fire, man. Fire. Ade's fire. You see and hear that she does a thing where she like narrates it with music as well. It's beautiful. Like different eras. But the Bob Arum one,
okay.
And then this one I just dropped 2 days ago, Victor Conte Unplugged.
Oh, did he talk about some naughty stuff from back in the day as well?
Yes, he did.
Right,
did you listen Did you listen or watch the YouTube?
Ade, I sent you the Cynthia, how long's the whole thing? Because I saw the 20 minutes.
The whole thing on the podcast is an hour and 37 minutes. That was almost a 3-hour interview to get it down to an hour 37 with all the music, with everything else, but it's fascinating.
Any relation there? Am I just being ignorant because of the surname?
Now everyone thinks, you know what? We always say, I call him uncle. And,
yes.
We're not by blood.
Okay.
But I honestly believe, because our families are from the same town in Italy,
yes,
so there has to be some answer. So, but he treats me like a daughter, and I treat him, he's like my uncle. But no, it's fascinating who he was before, how you know him. He was so much more before that no one ever knew, and your face will be like this. No, I'm not kidding.
I used to like athletics was my massive, the biggest thing in the world for me, the biggest thing ever. So for about 5 years, I hated this man. I was like, no. When Marion Jones popped, I was like, I went crazy. I was like, no. But I love all these interviews are just so fascinating.
You see her title. I sent you the link on WhatsApp last night. When you see the title that Cynthia's put on her Instagram story, like, she makes a reference to a historical figure from the past.
It's good. You can listen.
Yeah.
You can listen to it on Anchor on the link, or you can do Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You're gonna love it. I promise you.
You will love it.
It took me a little over 3 months from recording to release, to edit. I mean, it was a long process.
You've got a good producer, Cynthia. Your producer's very good.
Thank you. Jay Chaudhry of Break Media.
Very good.
Boom, we mesh. It's like he gets it, I get it, and I enjoy it. You're going to love it. You're going to learn a lot about Victor that you didn't know. He names athletes. You're like,
oh, I've got to listen. I'm so intrigued to listen now.
That's Ade's pet hobby. Like,
you're gonna love this.
I love this thing.
So
but Cynthia, honestly, before we go, I just wanted to say, well done with your journey, man. I think your journey is amazing.
Thank you.
When you said that we're gonna have, you're gonna come on, I was like, what? Like what you've been doing the last few years has been incredible, and just keep pushing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Do you know? On that note, I remember one of your interviews you did with Eddie last year. It wasn't the Earn with Hearn interview, but it was one of the first ones when Eddie kind of broke in America. And even Eddie paid you a massive compliment. He was like, he said, you should be bigger. That was what Eddie Hearn said to you. That was the first thing he said. And I was like, to be honest.
He told me it was a Lomachenko Crawler fight. I remember that. He complimented me. I'm like, oh, thanks, Eddie. Now let me tell you this. I'm like, stop paying these fighters Earn with Hearn. That's how you have that moniker.
Stop.
Well, listen.
I know. All right,
guys.
Good night and good morning.
I love you guys. I gotta come back on the show again. I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna tag y'all. I know. Good night, guys, and be
You
safe.
too. Stay
healthy.
safe in America.
Bye bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ciao.